Great morning, everyone. My name is Shante. My last name is Sachet, and I'll be the instructor for today's Free Thursdays training with Office Tools. The topic of conversation today will be Intro to Office Tools. I have this short PowerPoint presentation to kind of get us started, provide some information, and we'll jump right into as far as the training. For today, everyone is on mute. However, your questions are important. Feel free to submit your questions via the chat, and if there is enough time, I'll make sure to respond. If not, we'll make sure to get a response to you. So, in reference to Office Tools, Intro to Office Tools, why are you here today possibly? Maybe possibly you're a new staff, need a program refresher, or new to Office Tools? Well, today, once again, this Intro to Office Tools will make sure to give you a great understanding as far as the layout, how to navigate through Office Tools. And we'll cover, let's say, the first 5 tabs when actually logged into Office Tools, how to move forward. Heads up, in reference to training for Office Tools, you may go to abacusnext.com/support for support on the product. However, if in fact you're looking for, let's say, personalized training, you may schedule and book that personalized training with at abacusnext.com/webinars. Heads up, where you actually registered for today's Free Thursdays training. If you're willing to go back to as far as that particular page and scroll down, we do record these sessions and they're actually posted there as well for you to be able to view. Okay, so this, like I stated, real fast PowerPoint slide to kind of get us going. Let's go ahead and log into Office Tools and get the ball rolling on Intro to Office Tools. I have this demo organization with some sample data, and this is going to be just enough information here to allow us to move forward. Now we will be speaking apples to apples. So if in fact this is your first time logging into Office Tools, let's actually cover some quick housekeeping. When you first log into Office Tools for the first time, down at the bottom, this is the staff activity list. This is going to capture as far as all of your work. The first time you log in, by default, it will come undocked in a window by itself. Feel free to just exit out. Office Tools will take the staff activity list and place it right at the bottom. Here, I'll cover this shortly. This is more so, let's say, your work bucket, your work that needs to be completed. What's on your list that you need to take care of? So the activity list, as it is on dock, just close it out. Office Tools will automatically add it towards the bottom of the program. Number 2, the type. Same section, the type. By default, these items will be unselected. If in fact they're not selected and there is work there for you to do, such as a callback or a task, that item, your work, will not show within your staff activity list. Please, first time logging in, make sure that all of your types are selected. And now what you're doing is commanding Office Tools, if in fact I have work for the types that are selected, show me this work within my staff activity list. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward now as far as within today's understanding of Office Tools Intro. Office Tools is broken down into 3 main parts. Understanding these 3 main parts is more so having a good understanding of Office Tools. When you're logging in, working for a client, you will always begin on the left side of the screen here. This is the contact list. This is where you're going to find all of your prospects, clients, contacts, as well as vendors. To start, all you would need to do is select a contact. To select a contact, there are several different ways. If they are within your view, you may point, select, and as you can see, AVD or AVDC Electric, the client I selected on, I now have them within the main screen, the main workplace. We'll cover this shortly. So you can point, select. You may also use a scroll bar up and down to locate as far as your client you're looking to work for. As a best practice, we would highly recommend using the search field, and you can search for your client. Within this search field, you may search for your clients by name, email address, phone number, so forth. If there are multiple clients who fit as far as that searchable criteria, we'll pull back those clients, allowing you to be able to view. And then from there, you can point, select the appropriate client. So for today, I'm going to select on or type in Office. And as you can see, these are all of my clients that either have Office within their name, email, or account information. And I can say Office Tools. We're now dealing with this particular client. To refine your search, you can come to the magnifying glass here. There's a drop down, and you can select on different items. I stated earlier, here you will find all of your clients, prospects, vendors, and so forth. If they're all listed here, coming to the drop down, the magnifying glass, whatever is checked, we are actually showing you. If in fact you would like to hide all clients, remove the check you're now dealing with as far as the other types of contacts. Just food for thought. Now that we have Office Tools selected, once again within the main workspace, we can now do the work. Some other things I'd like to call your attention to. Towards the bottom, by default, you are in the list view. Show me the list of all of my clients to be able to select and start to work. However, there's also a detailed view. If you select on the detailed view, we're going to provide you more details based on the client you selected. I personally like the list view right along with other offices as well. Having it set to the list view down below, you'll have a contact card. Within this contact card, you'll find the name of your client, phone number, as well as email. If this client had a main contact, that individual would also show here. You probably have seen this contact tab, and we will cover this shortly. Here, we can have or find contact information such as phone numbers, email address, main contacts. However, if you navigated away from the contacts tab and you needed to quickly call that main contact, if you take a look at the contact card, this information will always remain as long as you are within that list view. Hence to why myself as well as other offices like the list view. Another good information to know, at the bottom of this contact card, you may right click, right select, and select on Add Contact Message. Maybe there's something special or specific you would want to remind yourself as well as your other staff members. Right here, I can put in test note or text per se. And then I can just close this field. Office Tools will take that text and place it right below as far as your contact card. This is not set in stone. I may right select Add Contact Message. I can remove the text within this field, close a blank field here, or close this screen with no text, and it will reset it back to its original state. I haven't even seen offices actually do this. See notes. Close. Now, anyone working for this particular client within your office who has the permission, a username and password to be able to log in, they would be able to see notes. Now, I can come to the Notes tab and heavily notate as far as this particular client. Maybe there's something special. Whatever that may be, it is very important not only to you as well as others within your office. Here is where you can take advantage of it. Let's go ahead and just reset this back to its original state, and by doing so, it's just removing the text once again and closing to a blank field. So here, you will always begin as far as within your contact list. This is where you're going to select either your prospects, clients, contacts, or vendors. When logging in or working in Office Tools for a specific client, two questions to ask yourself, and it would allow you to get from point A to point B very quickly. The first question would be, who is the client that I'm working for? We now know how to search for that client from the contact list. The next question to ask yourself is, now that I have selected or found the client I am looking to work for, what is the work that I'm looking to do? Depending on the way you respond to that question, you would find the appropriate tab to actually do the work within the main work screen. Here is where you're actually going to be doing the work. Each tab has a unique toolbar to allow you to work within that tab. My Contacts tab is selected for Office Tools. If you notice, if I place my cursor over the plus, it will echo back from the icon, Add Contact. Well, if I come to the Notes, this particular toolbar, the plus will echo back, Add Note. Once again, each tab will have a unique toolbar to allow you to do the work within that particular tab. We're going to come back to the main workspace. So one, contact list, your main workspace, these two fields actually work together. Make your selection, do your work. Down below in this particular section, the staff activity list, once again, I like to refer to this as your work tray. We're going to show you all of your work for all the clients you're actually working for. Going to show you all of your events, such as your due dates, your tasks, your callback, that is, as long as they were created within Office Tools. You may manage your workload by the due date, the type, hence to why I had you select all of them, because right now we don't know what we don't know. So in this case, Office Tools show me everything, and I can refine this list later in due time. This is also wonderful as far as for office managers. By default, the individual who is logged in, you're viewing your work. If I was the office manager, I could come to this drop down under staff and select a different staff member by name, or even create a group to see multiple staff members as far as their workload. This will give me the flexibility to be able to prioritize the work within our office, or maybe possibly shuffle around the work based on the availability of my individual staff members. So down below, once again, your staff activity list. Here, we're capturing as far as all of your work, your activities. From the contact list you're currently working for, and also allows you to keep track of the work you're actually doing. Now, I'm going to be going over the first 5 tabs: contacts, notes, to-dos, calls, as well as schedule, within today's introduction based on time. If you are interested as far as projects, time and billing, or document management, feel free to take a look at a past recorded session, or once again, you may even book a personalized custom training or topic for your office based on the URL I provided earlier. So let's go ahead and come to our Contacts tab at the top, understanding that we are currently working for the client Office Tools. In the Contacts tab, this is exactly what it is. This is where you're going to find all of the contact information for the contact selected. You're going to be able to find as far as the name of your contact, email, phone numbers, as well as other data. Please note, there's 5 custom fields here. 2 of them are free populating fields, where the other 3 are drop downs. You will not be able to make any changes to this particular contact page right on the fly by clicking or selecting. However, if in fact you have a role with the appropriate permissions tied to it, you would be able to come to the toolbar and select on Edit. When you select on Edit now, you would be able to customize, edit or modify these different fields. Here's where you're going to find your 5 custom fields. 1, I titled this as Test, and you can see it's a drop down. Test 2, Test 5, and then the 2 are populating fields versus 3 being drop down. I can then select Save if I made any changes to update as far as the contacts. Heads up, if in fact you come to the Contacts tab and More Contacts is selected or highlighted in red, this is letting you know you have a main contact for this client, and you also have alternate contacts. Let me just select on a different contact on the contact list here and actually see if we can find one that has more contacts by name, just so you can see that. I won't spend too much more time. I'll take 2 more options or selections here. So that's 1, 2. Well, let's just select on More Contacts. Coming to More Contacts, once again, if there were more, I would be able to view their name and what type of an additional contact they are. If I also needed to create additional contacts for this client, I can come here, select on More Contacts, and then select on the plus to add the contact itself. Oh, by the way, when creating additional contacts, you may also associate them to a relationship, such as if I select on the plus here, alternate contact, well, for profession drop down, here are the options that I can use. Well, if I open this and set it to a main contact, the profession, you can see the list. Well, last but not least, dependent, and you can now see relationship, spouse, child, sibling, and so forth. You may also create relationships between other contacts as far as within your contact list. Maybe one contact was referred by another contact and you would like to create that relationship. It is an option. So coming right back to our contacts tab, once again, here is where you're going to find all of the contact information for the client selected. Notes. Coming to the Notes tab, here is where you can populate all the permanent notes as well as find permanent notes for this particular client that has been selected. I changed my client to Fair Foods, but let's come back to Office Tools because that's the one I'm sampling on. Office Tools selected, Notes. Now I can select on plus or add a note, and from here, by default, Office Tools is intelligent enough to recognize the contact selected from the contact list is Office Tools, so we know this notation is for the client Office Tools. We also are aware of the individual who is logged in. In this case, you can see admin. Please do not allow me to confuse you this by seeing admin. Admin is just the name that I'm using on my profile. In your case, you very well may see your first name, your last name. If I was to update my profile with first name admin to Shantae, you would actually see staff Shantae. So the individual who is logged in, whoever is doing the work, whether if you're creating a note, task, a call, by default, it will begin with you. However, you can come to this drop down and set this to another staff member. Within Office Tools, we understand and appreciate, let's say you have a staff member. As they are leaving one appointment, very good important information about that client. They're actually headed to another appointment. They're unable to actually put this notation or this note for the contact that they just met with. They are afraid that if I don't do it now, I will forget some important detail. That staff member calls into the office and speaks with, let's say, Shantae. Shantae, can you please help me out? Sure. I need you to notate the account and put this note for me. In that case, great. Staff, I would select the appropriate staff who is asking me to make this notation. The subject, I'm just going to put here test note, just so that we can see something, right? Now, by default, the date will always begin with the date you're actually in. However, we can open this drop down, change it to an appropriate date if necessary. Same concept as far as for the time. And in my notes here, I'm going to put test note. I can add this to my activity list down below, as well as even set reminders, drag and drop documents to support this note that I've placed for this particular contact. At this point in time, I can now select Save. We now have a permanent note set for this particular client. Please note, within this Notes tab, there are two views. We offer this Summary view. The Summary view will show you a summary of all notes, allowing you to select on the appropriate note you would like to view, or upper right-hand corner, see the previous note or the next note. Or we offer the Detailed view, which would allow you to view the actual note, see the previous or the next note. I myself like the the Summary view right along with many other offices. Why? Because within the Summary view, you have this particular option titled View All. When selecting on View All, at this point in time, you're now commanding Office Tools to show me all notes that have been created for this particular contact. And not only the notes that have been placed within the Notes field. I want to see all the notes from the Notes tab, projects, tasks, calls. If there was a note created for this particular contact, I would like to see this. A lot of offices like to use this option, let's say when there is a transfer of contacts. These contacts are no longer mine to manage. I am now handing them off to you. Of course, we can have a 5 or 10-minute conversation and I can share with you what I do believe is important for you to know. Or you can come into the system for the accounts or contacts you're taking over, select on View Details, and allow yourself to come up to speed and view all the important notes you would like to see. To-dos. Now it's a funny name for a tab. Within Office Tools, I'm pretty sure you are using to-dos within your office. Let me explain what a to-do is to us within Office Tools. Office tools, to-dos, or tasks. Task break down to a single individual, one step to completion. Shantae, I need you to scan in these documents and you're done. I need you to file these documents and you're done. I need you to contact the client and request the missing documents and you're done. Tasks, once again, are assigned to staff members that are single step to completion. These to-do tasks essentially should be able to replace sticky notes, you leaving a sticky note for a colleague to return a client's phone call, or yelling across the hallway, or sending an email, all which ways that are very difficult to track but are very important based on the information we're providing to that staff member about our contact or our client. So our to-dos, once again, should replace those sticky notes, emails, or just within passing, Shantae, I need you to do, which is untrackable. There are four things that are very important when you're doing a to-do. And oh, by the way, for for the sake of time, to-dos and the calls tab, we'll cover these two at the same time. The functionality is pretty much the same. However, task calls are for callbacks. But to configure them, they pretty much work the same. So to-dos, let's come down to the toolbar and select on Add To-Do. Once again, Office Tools recognizes the contact you have selected, so by default, the name Office Tools will be added there. And here are the four things that you want to make sure that is accurate when creating new to-dos as well as new calls, regardless if these task to-dos or calls for yourself or another staff member. So here are the four items. One, making sure that this task or to-do is for the appropriate staff member. Yes, from this drop-down, I can create tasks for other staff members. The name, the contact selected. Make sure you are using the appropriate contact. Yes, Office Tools is selected within the contact list, therefore Office Tools will be set to the name. There's a lot of different shortcuts within Office Tools. Imagine you have 15 tasks to create and assign out to different staff members. Well, even though Office Tools is selected here, very quickly I can continuously select add my task and set it to the appropriate staff member, set it to the appropriate client. I do not necessarily have to search for that client first or that contact first before I create the task. That is an option. This is a shortcut. So recapping, if you're using any shortcuts, four things that are very important to do. And four things are very important to still take a look at, even if you're not using a shortcut. One, who is this task for? It's for me, the admin. Who is the client? Office Tools. Three, making sure the due date is correct. We now know by default the due date will be set to the day you're actually in. If this task should be completed for, let's say, next Tuesday, let's make sure to come in and set the appropriate date. And the fourth item is making sure add to the activity list down below. When I selected on add a to-do, Office Tools created some work within my activity list down below. This is my task. So let's populate this. In my subject line here, I'm going to put test scan in docs, just so that we have something. And I'll take the same information and copy that within the notes. We want to make sure this has been, or by default it is selected, and is going to add to my activity list, hence to why it's down below. We may also take advantage of these reminders, such as pop-up reminders. We may also configure this task or to-do to reoccur. Maybe every Friday we want to make sure to take all documents that should be scanned into the system, and we do it once a week. Well, I can set up this to-do or task, assign it out to a staff member to reoccur every Friday to appear on their activity list down below to complete. Great. And we can also drag and drop any documents to support this task if need be. I can now select Save, and down below, I have work here. I now can manage this work. Before I manage this work, let's go ahead and come to the calls. the Calls tab. Keep in mind, Office Tools is still selected. However, within the shortcut from Add a Call, I can change who the contact is if, in fact, it is not Office Tools. So those same four items in the task, the to-do, you want to make sure to capture as far as in the Calls tab. This particular tab is going to allow you to create calls, whether they're for yourself or another staff member. So this call is going to be for myself, the admin. The contact is, in this case, I'm going to say ABC Company. I'm changing it on the fly. I want to make sure this is set for today, and it has been set to my activity list. Hence, you can see the phone icon. This is my call back. And I'm going to put contact. As you can see, there's multiple contacts here. Call back Mike. At what number? There's multiple numbers, work, mobile, and this work. I will go with this mobile number. And the callback is, please contact Mike. And I'll just take this and place this as far as within my notes. I can also use these actions, such as returned your call, wants to see you, please call, and explain within my notes detail here. We can also drag and drop documents in to support this callback if necessary. I can now select Save. As you can see, my activity list is now starting to grow. Logging in the morning, coming in from my break, or managing this through my workday allows me to stay on task based on due dates. This is a contact-driven software. Wonderful. We have one more tab to cover as far as schedule, and then I would like to clear these two items down below off as far as my contact list as well. The schedule. There's a lot of offices that will integrate as far as Office Tools with Outlook. This would allow you to be able to manage, see, as well as create as far as appointments within Office Tools, or if the appointment was created within Outlook, it would also show as far as within Office Tools. Those offices that integrate with Outlook, a lot of times they do not even use Outlook anymore. Everything is through Office Tools. You have an option. We all love options. Once again, by default, you're viewing the calendar for the individual logged in. However, I can come to this drop down and view another individual's calendar if necessary. To create as far as an appointment based on the day, because there is a day, week, as well as a month view. Let's just say for today at 4, I can point, select, and add new appointment window will appear. I'm going to close this out because I can also take advantage of the toolbar, selecting on the plus, and once again, here is that add appointment window. We'll come back to this shortly. Very quickly, I can choose a date to actually see, and once again, if this was configured, anything that's on my calendar would also show here. This is great, this next point of view, for any office managers or let's say team leads. I'm viewing my particular calendar, and we do understand that I can view other individuals' calendars. If you recall at the beginning of today's call, I had stated that the activity list down below will come undocked. Just close or select on the X and we'll automatically add it to the bottom of the program. Well, here's that same icon to undock. I can undock and open a new calendar in a different view. And let me expand this so that you can see. Well, if I come to, as far as this ellipsis option right to the right, I can actually grab my users, move them over to this particular column, because this is the way it would actually show. By default, I'm only seeing myself. I can grab the users or even all the users, add them over, and I have now selected 5, close. I can come up to the gears and say, Office Tools, do not show me one calendar. I now would like to view 5 calendars. I can take this calendar view and even move it to another monitor, and very quickly I have now everyone's calendar view as an office manager to see availability. This is an option. Everyone loves options. But this is a calendar view as well. Now let's select on the plus. By selecting on the plus to add an appointment, by default, we know the contact selected, but same concept. If we open this drop down, we can change who this appointment's for. By default, this appointment's for the staff member who is logged in, but we can open the drop down and change this. This question normally comes up. Can I create an appointment and send out this appointment and have multiple staff members be available for this appointment? Use this ellipsis option with the same understanding of creating many on the same calendar view. So yes. I can also drag and drop in documents to support this particular meeting or appointment as well. Great. Contacts just reset. So we now know we will always begin with the contact list, selecting on the appropriate contact. After the contact is selected, we'll move over to the right to actually choose the appropriate tab to actually do the work. We can view down below in the staff activity list to be able to manage as far as our work. 1 and 2, these two parts work together. This third part below is capturing all of your work, hence to why you see ABC Company, Office Tools, all the different clients will line up. Real quick, because we are at our time, as the events, the items line up as far as within your activity list down below, you would have two options from here. You can right click on the item and you can create a time card. I can go ahead and track my time real quick. However, if I did track my time, this item still remains as far as on my contact list because I have not completed it. Maybe I just would like to track my time, but it's not completed. I will work on this again tomorrow. Or my other option would be to place the check within the box to the left of the actual item. To remove this off of my list, by default, Office Tools will then provide to me a time card to be able to track my time. I'll select cancel, and now you can see this will allow me to clear the different items as far as on my activity list. I really would like to thank everyone for their time. This concludes as far as our training. I myself will stay on for a little bit longer to be able to answer any questions that you may have. So please, if you do have any questions, this is a perfect opportunity for you to ask. Wonderful. I do not see any questions coming through the chat. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for your time. If you're new to Office Tools, welcome to Office Tools. If you have any questions, concerns, please do not hesitate to give us a call, send us an email, whatever it takes. Once again, this concludes as far as Office Tools initial staff training. You may now disconnect. Thank you.